Day started off some rain. Well, started off in the office, typical first day stuff. Then I started making my rounds to all the stations, meet with the officers, check in with them, make sure everything's good on their part. They don't need anything. And then I went over to the stations. Almost all the stations, so 4 out of the 5 stations here in the South have a probationary firefighter. So I made my rounds, made it to station 34, and as soon as I drove up, they got a call. So I turned around, I just continued on. And then, as you just saw there, they were outside of the bay working with the probationary firefighter, which is good. Just making sure that they're aware of where everything's at. If they ask for something, they know what they need to train on. And then, typically what they like to do is ask them a question or drill them on something. And if they get it wrong, then they do push-ups. Well, as you saw there, the crew did the push-ups while the probationary firefighter was the one that was having them go like on his cadence. So that's just showing the probationary firefighter that they are a team and they're going to do them together is kind of what I gathered. So they were doing the push-ups, doing some training. Then I went to the other stations, same thing. They were just working with their probationary firefighters. Made it all the way around to the final stop. Just got done, had dinner, and pretty much summed up my day. Dropped off coffee to each of the stations. Just took them like a bag of coffee each to each of the stations so they could have. Was it. It was been a long day. It's almost 7 o'clock now. Just cruising around. Gonna head back to the station now. Settle in, relax a little bit. See what the night has in store. Yeah. I think that's day 1 so far.
Oh, look at that. You gotta get in there.
Want some bacon?
What's that? Bacon.
It came right off of here.
Knock it off, Isaac.
It's a hero angle, dude.
Your crew's falling apart. He doesn't even eat with you guys?
Yeah, Isaac doesn't. Yeah, Commander doesn't eat with us.
What? I was waiting too. So this morning, woke up early. I think it was about we'll just say 4:30. Woke up this morning, no alarm, got up and started reading again, finishing up this book here, The Creative Act, Way of Being. I'm still not even halfway done yet. And then I started this finisher's journal where it kind of guides you through. I think this whole book here is a 90-day plan. So you kind of set in 90-day increments, you set a couple of goals. So 3 goals that you really want to accomplish during those 90 days. And then it breaks it down into weekly and then daily to accomplish those 3 main goals. So we'll see how this goes. I got this like a month, maybe 2 months ago. I just haven't started it because I felt like there was a process to it, and there is. But I got this started. It's Sunday, so I started the finisher journal. Started to write it out, and then I'll start planning each day based off the week, and then that week has to support one of my 3 goals, and the goal is to accomplish all 3 of those within that 90 days. So I got that started. Again, the hardest part is the start. read the book, got the journal done. Then I went in and I ran 3 miles today, which again, that's one of my goals. So that's going to help one of those goals to reach one of them. And yeah, so I ran 3 miles, got that out of the way, took a shower. Then the guys had breakfast. They had it all made up, some leftovers. They had made some, I think, fajitas last night. So they used that meat, cooked that up, and then threw some eggs in there. It was good. That was how day 2, the morning went. Today, like I mentioned before, each of the stations has a probationary firefighter. So the officer here at Station 33 wanted to do some training. He called up some of the other officers that have the probies, we call them, and asked if they wanted to come down. So they're going to come down today. They're going to do some training on draft operations. So if you're not familiar with drafting, we have 3 distinct regions, and 2 of the 3 are, all of them, I guess. One for sure, one of the 3 has very limited hydrants to no hydrants, and then the other 2 areas have limited hydrants. There's some, it's hit or miss. So each of our regions has to have tenders, and what they're going to set up today is an operation to get water from a static water source and be able to pump that out. So they're teaching the probationary firefighters how to get this done, how to operate in that fashion, so that if we get a fire where there's no hydrants, they're ready to go. So sounds like the crews are getting here now. I'll just go show you what they're doing out there. It'll make a little bit more sense. All right. Training is done. So we had all the crews come down that had a probationary firefighter, and then did some training. But the other part of that, or the other side of that coin, is we have, every year around this time, we have promotions coming up. So we have people that are interested in promoting, and they kind of go together. So this year we have engineers and captains that are testing for promotion. And then the next year will be for lieutenants and battalion commanders. So this year, like I said, is engineers and captains. So for the engineer side, part of their test, or when they go through after they take the written, they'll go through like engineer certification course. So we do this part, or when we do this kind of training, the engineers get to come down, or the future engineers come down, and they get to do drafting operations, get to work with the current engineers to get better. So when the time comes, they have that more sets and reps under their belt, so that makes it easier for them when it comes time to promote. My biggest thing is I make sure that they understand that the goal is not to pass a test. The goal should always be to understand the job that you're testing for, and then when it comes time to do the test, you're just proving to them that you know the job. So the goal is never to pass the test or just study to pass the test. It's to always be learning prior to that time coming up and understanding the next job above you, so that you know the job, so that when it comes time, you just have to study the book, the textbook, the policies, things like that. But when it comes time to the assessment center, you already know the job, so you're just showing them that you know it. Well, I feel that makes it easier, eases that anxiety or that test anxiety that some people have, because you're not trying to prove it or wondering if you hit all the key points. You've been doing it. You understand the job. You're just showing them that you're competent in it. So anyways, the engineers came down and they taught the future engineers, or the firefighters that were testing to be engineers, they taught them how to get water from a static source. So you saw there's a big tank that they use a tender, they dump that water in, they'll leave, they'll go fill it up, and they come and they'll keep bringing water to this tank, where the engineers have to be able to draft that water out of that static source, like those drop tanks, and then they send that water to the firefighters who are fighting the fire. So this simulation was just that. You have some people dropping off the water, dumping it into the tank, and then the engineers are teaching the future engineers how to pull that draft or pull that water from the static source, and then they send it off to the firefighters. Well, on the other side, you had the officers that were working with the probationary firefighters, or the probies, and they were working on hose handling techniques, how to handle the hose with the 1-person, 2-person, best practices. So you have the 1 3/4 inch, like the little smaller diameter. That one's more for offensive operations. You're able to move those around inside of a building. And then that large diameter, that 2-inch, that one's set up more for defensive operations, where we're not going to go inside the building. We're just going to stay outside and fight the fire. We call that like big fire, big water type thing. Just want to get as much water as possible. So both of them have their place. The officers were teaching them how to handle that by themselves, how to handle it with other people backing them up, and they got a lot of hands-on on how to do that. So overall, it was a great training. The probationary firefighters, or we call them probies, they start off, let's say there's 20 of them in the classroom. Start off with 30, by the time they graduate, we'll just say 20. The thing is, like, when you're in that training environment, the academy staff, they have a limited amount of time that they can give to each one of those cadets to understand each of these movements, like tagging a hydrant, deploying a hose handling. So their job in the academy is just to learn like the basics and just kind of get the basic understanding of it. And then it's our job in the field to make sure that they truly understand or get the sets and reps now, because there's just 1, 2, or 5 instructors, or we'll just say 5 personnel to 1 probationary firefighter. So now we have more instructors to help them, and it's our job to make sure that they get the sets and reps in. And that's what they set up today. So the officer at station 33, he's on the current captain list and gonna get promoted. So once they get into that position, he's just taking it upon himself to do that training, gather up the other crews to come down, meet, and just being a leader on that. So that was a little insight there of what our training looks like. Whenever we have the probationary firefighters, it's definitely a lot more training, and it's a lot of the basics, which is really good. Like, I think we need to get back to the basics. We get out in the field and we tend to want to do like the cool stuff, but reality, it's the basics that's gonna save us. And it's cool to see that we're really taking that on. So that was our training for the day. It is 3 o'clock now, so we still have some time before I get off tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. So we'll see what the day brings.